Welcome to my channel and thank you for watching this video. Today's video is a brief video in relation to how I go about cleaning wheels. So during the course of this video I will be showing you the various equipment that I use. My methodology remains the same regardless of the wheel that I'm cleaning. However, the tools that I use may vary. For instance, if I'm cleaning a set of gloss black wheels, then I won't be using the EZ detail brushes as I feel they can cause marring and scratching. So instead I'll look to use woolly trios, but I'll talk more about that later on in the video. So yeah, let's move on to the equipment that I use. So the first thing you'll need is a bucket. My bucket clearly has the word wheel labelled on it, so I'm able to differentiate between the various types of buckets that I use when detailing a vehicle. So when I'm detailing gloss black wheels on a vehicle, the brushes that I tend to use are, I know I mentioned the woolly trio, but it's not actually the woolly trio because I used to own a set of woolly trios from Finesse, but they disintegrated. So I've then invested in these, the wheel woolies. These are exceptionally good premium wool brushes, if you want to call it that. Very, very thick, very, very soft. So they're not likely to scratch or cause marring on wheels. So this brush here is the biggest brush that came with the set. You can get different sets, but you know, I can't remember which one I purchased, but I'll put a link in the description at the end of this video. But yeah, this is the biggest set brush that comes within the pack. There's a slightly, if you want to call it, the medium-sized brush, which is also comes with a long handle, so it's easy to reach deep inside the barrel of the wheel. There's also a smaller brush, really, really tiny small brush. This is brilliant in terms of getting into the spokes. I'll be perfectly honest with you, it's not ideal on all spokes. You can struggle to get into some of the spokes because it's not as malleable as the EZ detail brushes. But nevertheless, you can do a decent enough job with this. And what I tend to do is, if I'm using this and it doesn't go all the way in terms of the spokes, then I do use like a wheel mitt, a wheel wash mitt that I have, and that's specifically for wheels. That will never go near the paintwork of a vehicle. In addition to that, I bought an additional brush as part of the Wheel Woolies package, which is this one here. It's a small spokes brush which allows you to get in behind the spokes, or which you normally wouldn't be able to reach unless you use like a wheel mitt. But this is really good as well, and thoroughly recommend it. In addition to the Wheel Woolies, which I just showed you, I also use this soft detailing brush from, I don't know if you can see it off the camera or pick it up, but it is the Carbon Collective Detail brush. It came in a set, sorry, it's not coming into focus. There you go, hopefully it'll come into focus a bit better now. But it is a Carbon Collective Detail brush, and it's very, very soft. It's very, very similar to the what's the name of that word? The company, the Detail Factory. I think they're called the Detail Factory anyway. They were the first, I think, to come up with these soft bristle brushes. But this is excellent to use on the on gloss black wheels. It prevents it from scratching. Whereas if you use like normal hogs hair brushes, they can lead to scratching and marring. When it comes to standard wheels, what I will use is the EZ detail brush. I've seen lots of YouTubers review this, and for me it's just one of the best detailing brushes out there in terms of detailing your wheels. It is very, very malleable, as I mentioned. It's strong. It will fit into pretty much any gap. Obviously this is the largest brush that they do, so I will use this to get in deep inside a barrel of a wheel. In addition to this, there's a couple of other brushes that I have from the EZ detail range, which I'll just show you in a moment. So I've also got the smaller of the brushes, which is this one here. I do tend to use this a lot because a lot of the vehicles that I work on, the spokes are really sort of narrow and tight, so you do need to use something like this to get right in and ensure everything is cleaned properly. There is another brush which I actually use as well, which I'll bring out in a moment. So it's this one. It does look like a toilet brush, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But this I mainly use. I don't actually use this on the wheels. I mainly use this on the wheel arches. It's fantastic to get sort of, again, because the material is so malleable, and it will just bend into shape. I think they're nylon bristles if I'm not mistaken, but they will go in to the wheel arch really nicely. So you can spray some APC, or if you have some snow foam in the wheel arch, you can just put this brush in there and give it a good scrub. That's not the only thing that I've used for wheel arches. I mean, this is my mainstay, but I do have another brush which I use. I think it's the Vikan brush, which I'll also show you in a moment. So the Vikan brush is also another really good brush. Hopefully you can see that here. It's quite relatively long. It allows you to get right deep inside the wheel arch. I mean, with regards to the what should we call it? The toilet brush. We'll call it the toilet brush. You'll see it's slightly shorter. Sorry guys, where was I? So basically I'm just comparing the sizes of the EZ sort of toilet brush and the Vikan brush. They're a similar size. It's not much in it, to be perfectly honest with you. So yeah, they're both excellent brushes, and we'll definitely recommend them both for wheel arch cleaning. Another part of my process is using an actual tyre scrubbing brush. I think this one is the Tough Shine Tyre brush, if I'm not mistaken. These bristles are quite firm, and you wouldn't want to get this on your alloys because they would potentially end up scratching your alloy. But yeah, another excellent brush. So in terms of my routine for cleaning tyres, I tend to squirt a bit of Surfex HD, which is mixed around about roughly 8 to 1, between 8 to 1 and 10 to 1, which is really fantastic. You just spray it on the tyre, give it some dwelling time, and then scrub it with this brush, and yeah, it does really bring up the tyres nicely and cleans them properly. I used to use the Adams wheel cleaner, Adams tyre and rubber cleaner, but I feel that product is a bit more expensive and not as economical as the Surfex HD. So that's why Surfex HD is my go-to product now, but in terms of cleaning tyres on a vehicle. You can also use it for other things as well, because it is a very versatile product. I think you can use it on the interior, although I've never used it on the interior. You can definitely use it on the paintwork of a vehicle, if you want to use it as like a traffic and film remover, or not traffic and film remover, maybe a pre-wash. I mean, in terms of pre-wash, I do use Koch Chemie Green Star, but yeah, definitely you can use Surfex HD for other things apart from cleaning tyres. In terms of if I'm detailing standard wheels, so what I mean by standard wheels is wheels that aren't gloss or matte in any shape or form, then I will use this brush from, I bought this from Autobrite Direct. The bristles, they're not hard, but they're definitely not as soft as the carbon collective brush, which I just showed you a moment ago, and I would definitely strongly advise against using this on gloss black wheels, or something with a matte finish. But using it on other types of wheels that are painted, just have standard colour, you'd be fine in terms of using this. And definitely it's really good at cleaning the different nooks and crannies and crevices of a wheel. And yeah, really good brush. So now that I've shown you the sort of brushes, or the various types of brushes that I use, it's now time to sort of move on to the actual chemicals that I use as part of the wheel cleaning process. So what you can see here at the moment is a Spear & Jackson pump sprayer. In there I've got the Bilberry wheel cleaner from Vikan. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it's diluted down to around about 5 to 1. Because I used to use it at 8 to 1, 10 to 1 roughly, and it's good, but it didn't have the bite that I was looking for. So I've now started to use a slightly stronger concentration. So yeah, it's definitely worth getting a pump spray. I think I paid around about 12 or 15 quid for this pump spray in here. It holds about 5 litres in capacity, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, you can just dilute your products in here, and then use the pump spray to just dispense the product. So the next set of chemicals next chemical that I use is a wheel shampoo. I know a lot of people, a lot of detailers and other YouTubers will use standard car shampoo, but when I first got into detailing, I bought a 5 litre tub of Finesse Revolution wheel soap, which is this product here. I think it's a fantastic product, relatively economical, I believe. It's the old style bottle that I have, and what I tend to do is every time I use the whole amount in here, I think this is about 500 millilitres if I'm not mistaken, I'll just top it up with the 5 litre tub that I have, And yeah, you just fill up a wheel bucket, with about 15 to 20 litres of water. 20 litres is a bit excessive, but I tend to fill up with about 15 litres of water. I'll then look to put maybe about 4 to 5 capfuls of this, and then froth it up with the pressure washer. Using warm water works a treat, especially in the winter. But yeah, I tend to use cold water, if I'm perfectly honest. So that's the wheel shampoo that I use, besides the actual Valet Pro Bilberry wheel cleaner, because I use that to remove I actually use a Valet Pro Bilberry wheel cleaner to actually, if you want to call it, use it as a pre-wash on the wheels to remove whatever I can, and then follow up with a actual deep clean with a shampoo. And this way my thought process behind it is to minimise any sort of scratches or marring on wheels, similar to when you're doing a pre-wash on a vehicle and then following up with snow foam. So that's the idea behind it, really. In terms of, I did mention in the early part of the video that I actually use a dedicated wheel mitt. It's nothing fantastic. It's just one of these standard mitts that I think you can pick up from like Sainsbury's. I think I took this off my mum. Actually, it was in her kitchen, just lying in the cupboard, and I said to her, if you don't mind, can I just borrow this for wheel cleaning? And yeah, she agreed to it. And yeah, I've used it ever since, and I think it's really good. Really sort of flexible, and you've got full control of it using your hands. You can get in behind the spokes. So you've got both sides, I believe, are microfiber. So this bit's really soft, as is the Noodle part. But I tend to use the Noodle part to clean sort of the faces of the wheels, and then when I go behind the spokes, I will use this side and flip it around, and so that I can actually get inside properly. Yeah, really good Noodle wheel mitt cleaner. Right, so that's enough of me yapping on. Let's go and show you my process. So first thing is first, I'm going to put some wheel shampoo in. In my case, it's Auto Finesse Revolution. That's going to go in my bucket. So I'll show you how many. Well, I'm going to give an estimate. I normally put in about 4 or 5, about between 3 to 5 drops in the bucket itself. I've pre-prepared the bucket, so there's already water in there. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. So you'll see that in there. There's already got some water in there. So let's just drop about between 3 and 5 drops in here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to froth that up with the actual pressure washer itself. So I'm now going to froth the shampoo, the wheel shampoo bucket up now. When cleaning wheels, the first thing you need to do is give them a good rinse. So that's what we're about to do. And the idea behind that is to get rid of as much grime before actually making contact with the wheel. Also best to rinse out the wheel arches as well. There's a lot of crud actually in these wheel arches at the moment. Now that the wheels have been given a good soaking, we can then move on to spraying some solution. Now what I tend to do, I tend to use Valet Pro's Bilberry wheel cleaner in a pump sprayer. So I'll give it a few pumps, spray the wheel down as a pre-wash, let that soak for a few minutes, and then rinse it off. So I'll show you that process now. A few good pumps until sufficient pressure is built and built in tension in the pump sprayer. And that's sufficient enough. Make sure that's secured tightly. Yeah, that's better. And then Just spray the wheel down on the tyres. And this thing you can use as a tyre cleaner as well, it's really good. And then I'll move on to the actual wheel itself, spraying on the face of the wheel to begin with, and then finally inside the barrel. And don't be shy with the actual chemical itself, give it plenty of time to work its way in and soak and loosen the dirt. Right, so we'll now give that some time to soak. Whilst you're waiting, you can actually scrub the tyres, so I'll just show you the process. It's actually useful getting one of these mats. I bought this from JCVD Detailing. It's really useful, saves your knees from a lot of aches and pains on concrete. This is the actual tyre brush that I use. It's by Tough Shine, which I showed you earlier on in the video. You can just give that a good scrub. Hopefully you can see that the tyre starts browning. That's a result of drying that on the tyre. As I mentioned, we're going to give the wheels some dwelling time, so we'll give that a few moments. Alright, so that's now had a few minutes to dwell. Now give the wheel a good rinse. It's also a good idea to give the tyre brush a good rinse at this stage, so that you remove any browning effect that was removed from the tyres. What I tend to do is I also go over the tyre a second time with Surfex HD. This is in a double trigger spray bottle from JCVD Detailing. I need to work up a bit. There we go. And then again give it a good scrub. Now the idea behind this is to ensure that the foam on the tyres is sort of a clear colour. You'll see there's still a tinge of brownness in it, so it's not quite clean as yet. And so we'll just continue to scrub that. And then again give it a rinse down. What I'd also recommend at this stage as well is to get like a scrap piece of cloth, and basically what it is, the chemical, it will help you to draw out the dirt that's in the tyre, but it doesn't fully remove it unless you give it a good scrub with like a cloth. So this is the Clean Monster cloth. And give the tyre a good scrub so it can pick up some dirt, and I'll show you. You can see this is clean at the moment. Watch what happens after I rub it. Well, to be fair, it's not too bad. It's mainly soaked up the water. You can see, I don't know if it'll pick it up on camera, but it's slightly dark around the sides on here. What I'll do is I'll just give it another spray of Surfex HD. Now, Surfex HD is an excellent degreaser. And it's really good at cleaning the tyres, so I wouldn't recommend you get any other sort of rubber or tyre cleaner. Surfex is the way to go. I've actually got this diluted at 8:1, or between, I think it's 8:1 at the moment. Normally I use it between 8:1 and 10:1. But yeah, I've given that a few seconds to soak in. We'll just give it another scrub with the Tough Shine tyre brush. foam still appears to be a bit dark, but yeah, let's give that another rinse and then wipe it down with the towel again. Again, using the same green towel from the, I think it's the Clean Monster towel. And the reason behind why you want to ensure the tyres as clean as possible is so that the tyre dressing that you will apply later on bonds perfectly to the tyre. If there's any dirt or contaminants left on the tyre, the dressing will not last as long, and it won't be able to bond correctly. Right, what I will do is I'll just give it one final soak with Surfix HD. Now this appears to be like a long process. I'll assure you that normally if I'm not recording, this will be done really quickly. That's the third time I've done this. The frame is slightly cleaner now. What I'll do is give it a quick rinse and then wipe it down with a towel before we then move on to actually cleaning the faces of the wheels and the barrel. That should be okay for now. We'll now move on to actually clean the face of the wheels. So this is the soft detail brush that I use on gloss black wheels. So I actually started, I forgot to press the record button, but yeah, the idea is you dip this in your bucket, in there, get some solution, and then basically you agitate the wheels as gently as you can with this brush, because these wheels are gloss black wheels, so they're prone to marring if you were to use like a hog's hair brush. But let me just speed up that process now and show you what it looks like. Right. So yeah, just work it in as best as you can. When your brush starts to run dry, just dip it back in the bucket. Work your way in again. Now with black wheels it's always tricky. You'll always find that you miss bits, which is why I use it like a secondary, like a mitt. So I'll show you that very, very quickly in a moment, once I've just given this a good bit of agitation.
Morning.
Morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Right, so just ensure you're getting all the spokes as best as you can. Right. Also get into the emblem and the badges. Dirt tends to get built up in there. Right, okay. Now, what I'll do is, I'll use one of the, this is the small brush, the woolen brush. As I mentioned, it's not malleable, so you know it does get stuck in places, but use that as best as you can. Anything we don't cover, we'll use the actual wheel mitt to get stuck there a bit. Here's a soft brush and premium brush, so very little chance it's going to leave some marring. I think we've covered the spokes as best as we can. Just need to go inside the barrel of the wheel now. So for this set of wheels I tend to use the medium brush because it's small enough to fit in all the way. It's a bit cold today. to run dry again, dip it back in the bucket. And because it's plastic, it doesn't actually cause any damage to the wheels. You can hear it sort of clipping gently the wheels. It doesn't actually do any damage, so that's okay. And to be fair, I do maintain these wheels relatively well, so you may not see too much dirt come off. Right, so you get the idea behind it. Once you've covered all angles and all gaps, it's time to give it a bit of a rinse. Actually, I forget a step. Now, I don't know if you remember, I did show you the actual, it's actually called a caliper brush. I think I called it the spokes brush, it's actually a caliper brush, but it allows you to go behind the wheel and give it a scrub. And also behind it, can you see like there's dirt coming out from here? I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up, but I can assure you there's dirt coming out from there. It allows you to do that, get behind the spokes and give that a bit of an agitation. That's what a lot of dirt tends to build up. Give this another dip in the bucket. And this is why detailers charge a premium, because this isn't something that your local car wash will do. The reason why you want to ensure that your wheels are deep cleaned is because if the brake dust builds up, the dust is actually iron contaminants which basically embed themselves in the wheel, and over time what you'll find is the iron will turn to rust potentially, or it will form like a really hard surface, and it ends up leading to corrosion of your wheels, which is why you want to ensure that you give it a good clean. Right, now it's time to give it a good rinse down. One moment. There we go. There you go, so the wheels are looking much cleaner now. What I do, because I'm a bit OCD, I tend to do like one final step. I'll use my wheel mitt brush, my wheel mitt, and ensure that the wheel, I've covered all bases on the wheel in terms of cleaning it. So I'll show you that step now. So this is the Noodle mitt. And the shampoo that I'm using is there's a lot of lubricity in it, so there's no worries in terms of, you know, cleaning the wheels with this wheel mitt using the shampoo. So you can see I'm going to use my index finger and just get into the gap here, just to ensure that, you know, all the gaps are clean properly. And once I'm satisfied with that, I will then dip the mitt back into the bucket, get some more suds, and go over the faces again, just to ensure I've completely satisfied my OCD, and also to ensure that the wheels are as clean as they can possibly be. Also ensure to go inside the spokes, because the worst thing you can do is not do that and miss a bit later on when you move the vehicle. You'll see how there's a patch of dirt that hasn't been cleaned. Also, don't forget the tyre valve. A lot of dirt builds up around this area here. Okay, so now that I'm satisfied that I've cleaned the faces of the wheel properly, I'll then go behind the spokes, just to ensure any brake dust that's formed behind is cleaned and removed, and to prevent corrosion behind the wheel. Now you probably won't see much dirt come up, because as I mentioned, I do maintain these wheels relatively well. Right, so that in essence is the wheel cleaning process that we follow here at JCVD. I'll just give this wheel a rinse down. that is the final result of the wheel being cleaned. I will show you an actual shot of the wheel once it's dried up, and I've also applied the tyre dressing. But this is how it looks. You can see the gloss has returned. I'll actually show you the front wheel, which hasn't been cleaned and it's really filthy. So just follow me this way. Now, as you can see, that wheel is incredibly grimy. Let's see if I can get a close up of it. Not sure if it's picking up on the camera, but really dirty. It's disgusting. So the important thing to do now that you know I've washed the whole car, is to ensure that the wheels are dried. Otherwise, if you don't dry them, you'll get water spotting, which is a big problem, especially on gloss black wheels. It shows up like a sore thumb. So just give the wheels a quick wipe down. Ensure any loose water is just dried up by the towel. This is a very soft towel, by the way. It's a microfiber towel, very plush, and it's a dedicated towel for wheels, which I use on all vehicles when drying wheels. A bit cold, so my nose is running a bit, apologies for that. Right, so now that the wheels have been dried almost, I just need to get into the gaps, just ensure that any water is dealt with and dried. Again, you can see I'm using my index finger. My hands are medium sized, so I'm able to just about get them through without too much difficulty. The next bit you want to do is now to ensure that the tyres are dried so that the dressing can bond. So I'll do that, show you that process now. Let me just dry it with get another towel to properly dry it with. I don't want to use this because I'll use this on the face of it. So I've actually got another Clean green monster towel. It's actually a fresh one, but I'm going to use it. This is for rough use anyway. We can dry the tyres with that, so that the dressing can bond properly. I've also got an actual blower, a Metrovac blower, which would actually dry this up a lot quicker, but I'm not going to get that out now. It's really loud, might disturb the neighbours. So just use this manual. And to be fair, the dressing that I use is Calipre Pearl, so that's a water-based dressing anyway, so it doesn't matter too much if there's a little bit of surface water left on the tyre. We'll just try and dry this as best as we can. Okay, as you can see, the tyre's pretty clean, there's not too much dirt on there. Okay, so now that the tyre's dried, we'll now apply the dressing. Well, we've dried it as best as we can anyway. It doesn't matter if it's slightly moist. The dressing will still adhere to that because it's a water-based dressing. So I'm just going to get my Calipre Pearl as well as my tyre applicator, and I'll show you how we go about applying that on the wheel. Sorry, on the tyre. So this is Calipre Pearl, and this is what I tend to use as my tyre dressing. And this is the tyre applicator. It's a bit knackered, but I still use it. And what you do is a couple of squirts on the applicator itself. So it's sufficient enough. Hopefully that'll be picked up on the camera. Just show you, so it's a bit runny and it's dripping. But that's that. We'll just apply that on the tyre now. As you can see, the tyre starts to turn slightly white because of this dressing, but we'll leave that there for a few minutes to cure and dry, and then we'll come back and wipe it down with, and we'll wipe down any excess with a microfiber cloth. Probably use the clean one again, to be fair. Just need to ensure that there's even coverage. Now, because part of the tyre here underneath is covered by the ground, I will actually look to move the car slightly forward so that I can ensure there's an even coverage and perfect sort of circular coverage of the tyre, as opposed to, you know, if you were to drive off, you'll be able to see that there's an area that wasn't actually reached as a result of being lazy and not moving the car forward. So that's the tyre rest in essence. We'll let that cure for a few moments. It's pretty cold today, so I'll probably need to leave that to cure for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and wipe off any excess. Right, it's had some curing time now. We'll go ahead and wipe the excess off on the tyre, so it leaves a nice satin finish. And there you have it. That is JCVD Valeting Detailing's routine to clean gloss black wheels. Hope you've enjoyed this video. We'll just now have some brief after shots and from different angles, so hopefully you get a feel for what it looks like in person. I'm hoping that you're able to see the wheels and including the barrels, and you'll see they're really clean. The tyre's got a nice satin finish on it too. So I hope you found this video beneficial or a good watch. At least it is my first time recording something for YouTube. Any comments or feedback you may have would be much appreciated. Take care for now. Bye.